eyes of my heart, I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you high, to see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power, pour out your power of love, as we sing holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. I want to see you high and lifted up. See you high and lifted up, shining in the light, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love, pour out your power and love, as we sing holy, 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 holy. Holy, 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 holy. I want to see you. Holy, 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 holy. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you.
So we have these jar cards up here that have quotes on that you provide, and if you put your name on it, you get to read it on a Sunday. And I'm always so happy when somebody does put their name on here. So Jeff Waldron, can you come and read your card, please? Yeah. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, this is pretty short, sweet. It says, what other people think of me is none of my business. So that helped me a lot. I had a lot of anxiety when I was younger. I still have some, but I think that was Eleanor Roosevelt who said that originally.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. It's easy to go, about this quote, and it's much harder to live. And it's probably what Jeff was referring to. It's like, because it really seems like, man, it's harsh when someone has an opinion of me that's maybe less than what I think it should be. But anyway, thank you for that. Awesome. Awesome. If you've been here the last few weeks, you know that I've been presenting the Sunday message from a video I saw of Henry Nouwen, who made a video. This video was in 1994. Henry was a Catholic priest. He was a theologian. He was an author. And this video just blew my mind because it was. I looked at it right after the election, and after the election, I was off center. I was really off center. I'm still a little bit off center, but this video and his words and his presentation have really helped me. I hope it's helped you as I've shared it with you. But I really felt like I was off center, and the title of his talk was "Finding Your Sacred Center." I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. I want to get back to center because I felt wobbly. I felt out of sorts, and I wanted to find that sacred center. But I realized as I listened to this over and over again, and as I was preparing these messages for Sunday, that maybe my idea of center really wasn't what he was talking about at all. Because I was thinking it was this thing, like I said, like getting in balance again, getting my feet under me. And really, this sacred center is a little more than that. It's the what he talks about it as is the point of the divine in me, the point of God in me, like that center, which yes gives me the balance, but it's much, much richer than that. It's much richer than that. This point in me that is the divine itself. And then I was thinking, is it really just a point? That didn't even make sense to me. Like the point at which sometimes in New Thought people talk about the spark or is it really just that? Or I've come to the understanding, or at least the current understanding, who knows if it's true or not, by the way, anything I say could change tomorrow. But I think for me, it's more about understanding the essence of what I really am. Like knowing the essence and truly of what you really are. That's what it's about. It's not a point. It's the fullness of me. You might have heard the saying that we are not humans having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. But do we really believe that?
Yes.
That's another one of those things. Oh yeah. And then you walk out the door and it's not quite that way. It's not quite that way. Do we really believe that we are a soul and we have a body? More often we act as if we have a soul and we are a body. We spend a lot of time taking care of our bodies, right? We spend a lot of time being healthy in what we eat, all those things we do. So maybe we're not so much finding our center as realizing what we are to begin with. What we have always been, what we were born as, and what will always be. And maybe it doesn't even have to do with so much finding it as in looking for it. I shared this on Wednesday night, and I want to share it again. This is from the Message Bible in Matthew chapter 5. And it says, "Let me tell you why you're here." In case you don't know. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here to be light. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a light stand. And now that I've put you there on a hilltop on a light stand, shine, keep open house, and be generous with your life. That's why we're here, to be light, to be that, not to find it, not to find the spark within that's somewhere in my body, but to be the light we are born to be. That kind of thing. To find the sacredness in that. To find the sacredness in that. And so what Henry talked about is making space for that. Like making space so that, because we cover over our light. The light that we are, not our light. Because it's not even like we own some kind of light, something. It's like we are that, but we cover it over. We cover it over with judgment and distrust and doubt and judging our life as insignificant and judging other people's life as worthless and terrible. We cover it over with all those things. And so it doesn't shine very much. Like we put our own bucket on it. We don't have to worry about anybody else putting a bucket on it. We put the bucket on it. We hide it. We hide the truth of what we really are. And we've gotten distracted, I think, by our human desires. We've gotten distracted by the humanness that we have. As a soul, we have this body. And so Henry talked about, in the last 2 weeks, I talked about 2 of the spiritual principles or practices, or disciplines he calls them, to help us, I'm saying, not find our sacred center, but become aware and remember what we are already. And the first one was solitude. The first practice is solitude. And the idea is that we have pain, we have hurt, we have discomfort, we are not happy about things sometimes. And we know our light is covered, and what his admonition is take that into the solitude, like take it into the quietness. Don't come out here and find all the people who agree with you and let's all get together and, moan about and complain about what that is. And we're like, yeah, we must be right because all these people agree. Take yourself into the solitude. Take yourself into the silence, because he says, and I believe this with all my heart, and you have to believe this, that in the midst of that hurt and that pain, that's where you will hear the voice that says to you and whispers to you, you are beloved. You are light now. That's where you find it. In the middle of that, in solitude, in the middle of that. That's the first thing. The second thing, and I talked about it last week, is we don't stay in solitude forever. We come out into community, don't we? We come out into relationship. We have to learn how to be in community and relationship. He said this quote from last week, you all laughed about it, is, community is the place where you find the person who you would least like to live with. That's where they live. In that community that you want to be a part of. That's where they live. So the practice of being in community has to do with forgiveness. The practice of forgiveness. I mean, you've heard it before, but listen, what he says is very succinct. What do we have to forgive each other for? For not being God. You just have to forgive each other for not being God. Because we have this desire and this yearning in our heart to be understood and to be accepted and to be loved exactly the way we are, and nobody in our life can do it. We certainly can't do it for someone else. And so because we cannot do that in our human form, the idea is we've got to be willing to forgive each other. I'm not always going to get it right. I'm asking you, forgive me. You're not always going to get it right. I'm forgiving you. And when we do that, when we create that in community and relationship, then we can give and receive each other's gifts. Then we can receive, because we can namaste. We can bow to each other in our imperfections as human beings. We can bow and say, yes, I see the gift that you are. And we can give whatever that is. And like I said when I presented this last week, there is no human hierarchy when it comes to gifts. There is no greater gift and a lesser gift. There is no one person with all the gifts and the rest of us are the ones that receive all the gifts. There's nothing like that in the human race. There is not a gift that's any less or more than another gift. Community and relationship. That was his second. To making space. For making space for that light. For making space for that light. So there's one more discipline, there's one more practice that he talks about in his talk. And that is the practice of care. Care. So we have solitude, community, and care. Care. What is care? What is care? Care is, what does that mean, to care? To care means to be compassionate. To be compassionate. Calm, the root word calm meaning with, passion meaning suffer. To be with each other as we suffer. To be with it, not to fix it, not to make it go away, not to make it all better, but to be with each other as we suffer. Compassion, that's what that is. Compassion, to be with each other in suffering. That's it. To care for each other. Maya Angelou has this quote, you've heard it before, it brings it right down to this. I've learned people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That's what compassion is. Not fixing, not saying the right thing, not doing something to make it all better, but to simply be there with someone when they are in pain, when they are hurt, when they are suffering. But the world teaches us something different. The world teaches us competition, doesn't it? The world teaches us competition. Faster, better, stronger, bigger, nicer, bigger house, nicer clothes, nicer car, bigger job. We even call it climbing the ladder. We want to get higher. We want climbing the ladder. We want to be better. We want to have enough money in the bank. We want to have some security. That's different than all these people who don't have it. What it really says is, in these two ways of thinking, one is the spiritual way of thinking is compassion is to be with, to recognize our sameness in each other, versus competition, which says, when I'm better, I separate myself. I'm the one at the top. He uses the idea of the Olympics as a way to understand this. I mean, we watched the Summer Olympics this year. Did you guys?
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, those athletes are just incredible. And Henry reminded me back in 1994 in this video, the difference between gold and silver can be 1/100th of a second. And let the person who's gold is like, gold, gold, better than silver by 1/100th of a second. I want to be good. My picture will be on the box of Wheaties. Silver, not so much. All right? Not so much. And you only got the bronze. You only got the bronze at the Olympics. Like, everyone who even showed up there had to be amazing, right? Renee and I talked about that. It's like, just to walk into the Olympic Village as an athlete, golly. But you see how that separates. We even have a saying that says, it's lonely at the top. There's a reason for that. It is. It is. It can be lonely at the top. We separate each other. That's what the world tells us. The world tells us competition. To be better than, to separate ourselves from that. The world teaches us that joy comes from winning. And the spiritual way of approaching life says that joy comes from knowing that we're all the same. That we're all the same. When we have our coffee and conversation on Saturday, it's never more apparent. Everyone shares in Coffee and Conversation Saturdays at 9 here every other week, and our second and fourth Saturdays. And there is never, I don't like using the word never, but I think there's hardly ever a Saturday that goes by where someone isn't appreciative, and more than one, of the stories that are shared because how we relate to each other. The details are always different. The details are different. They're not the same. But what is the same is the way we feel, how hurt we were, how we struggle, how we relate to each other, and it feels good. That's compassion. And when we practice compassion, what happens is there's this other quality that comes out in us, and it's called vulnerability. It's called vulnerability. When we are vulnerable to each other. When we are willing to be there with each other, sharing their stories of struggle, we become vulnerable and we recognize that the pain in others and the longing in others and the struggle of others is the same as ours. We don't ask how old they are, how many square feet are in their house, what political party they go to, which grocery store they shop in, if they eat meat or they don't eat meat. I mean, we don't ask any of those questions. We simply relate to each other because of our vulnerability and our compassion. We can admit our shortcomings without being afraid because we recognize we're all the same. And our joy is in the lightening of that burden. To recognize that. That's what Spirit teaches us. It's different than what the world teaches us. It doesn't make the world the bad thing. It calls us to put it in perspective. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with wanting to be successful in life. It's not wrong to want to start a business and employ people or climb the corporate ladder. It's not wrong. It's just one aspect of living, and that's the living of the world. There's this whole other thing. This whole way of being so that I remember the light that I am. That's the reason. So I remember the light that I am. The light that I am. That's the gift. So if we practice living spiritually, then we will find that light more often. We will know ourselves to be worthy, for instance. We will know ourselves to be, even when we're distraught about things, that we are connected to each other, that there is just this one big pulse of life, and that we are a light. We are light, not a light, we are light. I want to say that clearly to myself and to you. We are light. There is not a light in us. I don't think so. You can think so, though. Just because I say something doesn't mean I'm right. This is kind of what I was sitting in my chair about. It's like we don't have a soul. We are a soul. We don't have a light. We are a light. But you might think that, and that's okay. Like, whatever works for you. There's this spiritual aspect of you and me that is critical to the whole. And the more we remove the bucket, the more others will see it as well. The more vulnerable we are and compassionate we are, that gives others permission for exactly that. How often we teach our young boys, especially, to buck up. Buck up. Don't cry. Like, what about if we teach each other, hey, we're all the same. And when it hurts, darn it. It hurts. Look at the pain in Jared's song. It hurts to be there. What cures that? Love cures that. Light. The light that we are cures that. The light that we are makes something else possible. That's what it means. So here's the summary. You guys like when I write this stuff down, don't you? It's nothing new. It's just the summary of this. When we're in solitude, we have to be brave. You have to be brave to take your pain into solitude. The song that Jared just did, you have to be brave to kneel in the cell while the other guy's sleeping and cry out. And cry out. That's brave. And while we're there, take all that pain there. Take it all. Own your pain. That's the message. Own your pain. And listen. Listen. Listen for this voice. Listen for that still, that just whispers to you. That whispers in the song, love. You're still love. Doesn't matter what you did, you're still love. You're still light. Doesn't matter what you did, you're still light. Solitude, that's the gift of solitude. Community. I know people get tired of hearing about forgiveness. Like, oh, I gotta forgive that. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Nobody says, you're not going to hear that at Soul Center. You don't have to go to confession and let me know everything you did and then somehow I absolve you of all that. Like, you decide. You decide. Like, is that what I want? And all we have to do is put it in the context of, can I forgive you for not being God? Can I forgive you for not being just giving me unconditional love all the time? Yes. And when we do that, we open this up. This giving and receiving of our gift. Namaste. The bowing to each other. Your gift. Your smile. Your presence. Your whatever that gift is. That. And care. To be compassionate. To be with suffering. To be with that. And we come out, we become vulnerable. And it's here when we see our sameness that this is what happens. We start to experience this. You see, we don't work on this. We don't look for this. We practice this and we get this. This is the gift. This is what's available. This is what's possible. Is this to live from Sacred Center. From the center of me that is light. Light. That is you. Light. Nothing short of that. Nothing short of that. Your light. And notice, when you do these practices, start noticing. Noticing how different it is walking in the world as light. Like, you can do that, because you are that. If you believe me, I know. I mean, because I'm light. And the more I can remove the bucket, then the more light that I'll be in the world. I'm grateful to Henry Nouwen for these practices, this way of thinking about being light, of being that, not having it, being that. So let's take that into meditation just for a few minutes this morning. I invite you to take a deep breath in. Yes. And out. And to simply, what I'm talking about being, just be present right here. Be present. Drop your consciousness inside. And maybe say to yourself, I'm light. I am light. I am light. I am. I'm light. Maybe your shoulders drop a little bit. relax your face, the tension coming out of your forehead and your eyes. And maybe to believe, just for these few moments, I am light. I am light. I'll remind you once again from Jewel's song called Hands. We are God's eyes, God's hands, God's mind. We are God's hands, we are God's heart. And in the end, only kindness matters. In the end, only the light that we are. So it is.
Never would have made it. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me. And I can say I never would have made it. I never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me. And I can say I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm better, much better. When I look back over all you brought me have made it. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me, and I can say I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm better, much better. When I look back over all you brought me through, I can tell you were the one I held on to, and I never, ever would have made it. I never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me, and I can say I never would have made it. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me, and I can say I never would have made it.
May I be
Filled with loving kindness, may I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy.
Amen. See you next week.